We return to our breaking news story, calamity for the people of Nexus Point. The nation awakes to fury this morning, following a surprise criminal attack by the forces of the Primeval Armed Liberation Alliance. During the night, it is believed that a single strategic bomber belonging to the Pala Air Force and supported by an unknown number of electronic warfare aircraft infiltrated Boscali airspace for a very short time, just long enough to overfly the southern district of Nexus Point and release a deadly payload upon the civilian targets below. Casualty figures are as yet unknown, but are estimated to be in the low thousands at least. And we've had released to us security footage of the attack. Please bear in mind some viewers might find the following disturbing. Reasons for this sudden surprise attack are not yet known, but in any case, it brings to an end the 10-day-old truce between our nations. And naturally, the Boscali government are furious, crying out at what is obviously a very serious war crime. As of yet, no Pala government officials have responded or commented on the attack, but many Pala commentators and their supporters have taken to social media to accuse the Boscali Defense Forces of a deliberate red flag attack. But naturally, the people of Nexus Point, and indeed all of Boscali, are extremely angry. They demand justice and retribution. It is widely expected that a retaliatory strike will be conducted within the next few days. And indeed, the strike came. Launching solely from North Boscali Airbase, it targeted the Vigil K Naval Airbase, located to the southwest on Vigil K Island. It is from this base that it is believed that the attack on Nexus Point was carried out. The Boscali High Command wanted the base eradicated as a threat, with orders to target airbase facilities and factories on the island. And so a number of strategic assets were mobilised for the attack, making rather liberal use of the limited long-range missiles that went ballistic before approaching their targets. Of course, the Primeval Armed Liberation Alliance did not simply take this attack sitting down. They attempted to trade with the Boscali Defense Force blow for blow, but where the Boscali attack plan called for a strike against air defense targets initially, peeling back defense layer after defense layer, the Primeval Armed Liberation Alliance simply attempted to strike the airbase's facilities, hangars and parking areas, hoping to destroy the aircraft on the ground or deny any returning planes coming in to refuel and rearm from a place to land and safely carry out their tasks. But the tempo of the Boscali Defense Forces attack meant that several bombers simply landed on the runway, stopped where they were, and were rearmed and refueled right there on the runway before taking off again to carry out another sortie. And whereas the Boscali strikes against the Pala airbase were destroying air defense units, the North Boscali airbase's own air defense remained intact and continued to intercept incoming missiles and aircraft. And though the Boscali Dark Reach bombers were able to launch a lot of their ordnance from a very safe distance, sometimes even as soon as they'd gotten off the ground and over the horizon to their target, a huge number of smaller fighter aircraft were mobilised to assist with the attack. Some of course carrying air-to-ground weaponry, others simply going in to provide escorts to the bombers and the attackers and engage the enemy in air-to-air combat. Before long, a large air battle began to rage just north of Vigil K. But it wasn't long before the sheer weight of the Boscali attack began to slowly but surely overwhelm the Pala defenders. Many FS-12 Revokers and FS-20 Vortex aircraft launched Tosco B missiles as well as Arad anti-radiation missiles before closing for air combat with enemy aircraft to sweep from the skies. With the weight of the air attack overwhelming air defense, before long, bombers were able to fly over the base, dropping free-fall guided bombs onto targets below. Most of these bombs were targeting the shorter range air defense units, Vigil K Naval Base's last line of defense. With the strategic bombers job now complete, the operation now turns solely to the smaller tactical aircraft, with stealthy FS-20 Vortex aircraft giving up stealth in exchange for externally mounted air-to-ground ordnance, on top of their internally carried air-to-air weaponry. For them now, it was simply a case of clearing out the remaining enemy aircraft from the skies, opening a path through to the airbase, and carrying out attack runs on the base, destroying facilities and factory sites. But the Pala defenders were not yet finished, they were not yet ready to give up, and many of their pilots put up a very brave fight, many directly over the town of Nexus Point, the very same town whose partial destruction had precipitated this latest outbreak of combat between the two warring factions.
Stall.
Indeed, it wasn't long before Vigil K Naval Base was in a shambles, with a good many of its facilities destroyed and parking spaces for aircraft no longer usable. Their ability to defend the island was now severely degraded, and yet they continued to get aircraft rearmed, refueled and back in the air, often cutting a number of corners and skipping safety checks in exchange for quick turnaround time for their aircraft. But it was to no avail. As soon as the Pala aircraft got to the air, they were being targeted, nay hunted, by their Boscali foes. Eventually, Pala aircraft became very few indeed, and all attempts at missile attack against the North Boscali airbase had long since ceased. The base's facilities had been destroyed, rendered inoperable, and the factories now lay largely in ruin. The Boscali High Command announced mission accomplished. And though there was still some air combat ongoing, the last of the Pala aircraft being hunted, all aircraft not engaged were now ordered to return to base. Combat air patrols were being maintained over Nexus Point, but the operation had been a resounding success. The people of Boscali, and Nexus Point specifically, could rejoice